All right. Oosio ni God kalihele kini kachite do kohig we blemis tawadon.
Sige colors tawadon Peggy Gertie.
All right. So welcome. Obviously, my voice is still trashed out, but that's okay. We're just gonna keep on keeping on.
Right.
So if I were a lounge singer, probably this would be the sound we're going for, right? So kohig taladus no. Taldusine, not Taladusine, it was not the 16th Taldusine, Jalaka Adelo Quast. Today is our 12th Cherokee lesson.
Okay.
So in our last lesson, we really had some good discussions about words and the importance of those different sounds and how for a speaker, probably for a second language learner, we don't even notice that much of a difference or whatever. Even when it's translated, it's like, well, that kind of means the same thing. But to a speaker, some of those differences can be very different. I mean, but subtle, you know. I guess. I guess it's kind of the difference between, like in English, if English is your first language, there are subtleties in language, which oftentimes we call tact, because there are ways to say things that are perhaps a little nicer than other ways, whereas someone who's just learning English, they don't know those subtleties, and whatever. I never forget. I have. I'm around a lot of people where English is not their first language, and they just say things the way they learned how to say it, and sometimes to a speaker, it's like, oh, that sounds kind of rude, but they don't know any other way to say it that, other than like that, So, and so I imagine in Cherokee it's kind of the same way when you hear second language speakers, and you're like, okay, well, I wouldn't say it quite like that, but but I know what you mean.
Yeah, and as long as you don't offend anybody, I guess it's okay. But to me, even if it's maybe not the way that it's supposed to be done, if you can understand someone, to me that's the main thing.
Right.
That's a good thing.
Because the whole purpose of speech and language, of course, is communication.
Right.
So if you can communicate, then you're well on your way.
Right.
And of course, over time, your pronunciation will improve, your grammar will improve, your usage will improve, and all those little things, as long as you kind of keep plugging at it.
You got to keep on going though. Yeah, because if you let just one little thing, stop you or keep you from, moving on, then, you're not gonna get too far. Because I'm gonna tell you, anybody that's learning, some people will say, well, they just laughed at me when I said this or whatever. But, sometimes it is funny, but we're not laughing at you as a person. We're just laughing at what you said. And as a speaker, I will go ahead and correct that person.
Right, absolutely.
And then tell them this is the way that it's supposed to be said. Whatever. And if the person wants to take it and run with it and learn, then that's good. And if not, then I don't know. There's not really anything you can do.
Yeah. Well, and I think that's really important. I was in South Dakota very recently, and I was at a ceremony, and there were all these young guys, real young. I mean, in their early teens, and they were singing, in the Lakota language and stuff. And when they got done, one of the elders got up and he talked. He said, I'm really appreciative of you guys singing and learning. And he said, but he said that one word in the song, he said, you guys are singing it as maku. And he said, maku means his chest. He said, but however, you should be singing maku. Maku.
Yeah.
And he said that means he has it or he owns it. And he says, so when you sing it the other way, he said it changes the whole sentence.
Yeah, and really it's just trying to teach someone the correct way of what you're trying to say.
Right.
And if you're trying to say a certain thing, like we said, at the last one, that it changes the whole thing. Just a little sound, might change the whole word and what it means.
Yeah.
So as a speaker, if you're learning how to speak, it's best to listen to those things that people are trying to teach you, because they will help you out.
Oh, absolutely.
Somewhere.
Which, speaking of, as a speaker, of course, most first language, most learners learn the word etlawe. Etlawe. To you, is that rude? Because to me that means like shut up, right, or whatever, which in English is kind of a little bit abrasive way of saying things. And then I also remember you saying that, was it your mom or your grandma that would say "Tony to done" at church?
Yeah.
It's more like quiet yourself down, right?
Yeah, and be still.
Be still.
Yeah, be still. Tony to done. They would say "Tonadurga," be still.
Yeah.
What they're telling me. Now, if the word, "Ehlawe," to me that's not rude.
Yeah.
I think people have just taken it to think that it means shut up.
Right.
But it really doesn't mean that. It means just to hold it down. Ehlawe, like kind of like make it softer, speak softer is what it's saying.
Really saying.
Yeah, so it doesn't mean shut up.
Right. Close your hole.
Yeah, some people in English they just put those two things together, but truly that's not. I don't think that's what it was meant to, come right out and say. Because I don't know which one, English shut up came before "Ehlawe" or whatever, but I know that in Cherokee that doesn't mean shut up. It doesn't mean like a bad thing.
Right, yeah, it's not negative or whatever. Like if you tell your kids that or whatever, you're not like.
Because I tell my classroom that too sometimes. "Ehlawe." It's kind of like let's hold it down. Let's be a little bit quieter. So that's how I use it. Now somebody can use it, in a way where it's saying shut up.
It's all in tone.
Yeah, it's
right?
all in tone. I think it is. I think that makes a big difference. Anything does.
Absolutely.
Everything. You can change a whole tone, even in English, and change one word and make it different. And you can do the same thing in
Cherokee.
language, I think.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. And I think especially in Cherokee.
Yeah.
Because I think about. Some of those, especially like I always think of like preachers and stuff, and of course when I was young, I was a learner. I didn't know what they were saying, but I could tell when they would say things, that they would say them different than how when people are just talking would say them, and I knew that because they changed it, it was changing the whole tone of the thing, And sometimes they'd really draw some of those sounds out,
And in English, when somebody draws something out, we know that it means something.
Yeah,
that either you really pay attention to it or something. And I think it means the same thing in Cherokee, that it means there's emphasis in there. And when somebody emphasizes something, then you need to be listening or paying attention to it.
Absolutely. So anyway, so come Elena Cherokee Demoni. So we've changed our hymn today. This hymn actually comes from the Cherokee hymn book that everybody has. I mean, that probably every Cherokee church in the world used. Back in the day, it was that little book.
Green. Hardback, is that the one, or the paperback?
Paperback.
Okay, back in my day, it was a green hardback.
Hardback, yes.
It was the color, the green. On the back was the syllabary. Was
yes,
on the back
yeah.
of it. Yeah. I remember our preacher, Lovely Wallace, had one of those.
Yeah.
He was not Cherokee at all. He was red-headed as you could be, but he could read. He could read.
He could read the heck out of some Cherokee.
Yeah, he could. And he could sing in Cherokee. He used that hymn book.
That hymn book. Wow. And and of course, in my day, it was a paperback, but it was still that little bitty one, and it didn't have no music in it or nothing, just had the words, and you either knew the tune or you didn't, and I always remember sometimes we would go down to Kenwood, and we would go to Steely Church. I don't know why we would go there. I mean, well, when my mom was young, they had a gospel singing group, and they used to go down there all the time and sing at Steely for some reason. And so then whenever I was a kid, sometimes we would just go down there just for fun or whatever. And there was they had a piano. Mr. Little Dave, he could play the heck out of that piano, and he didn't use. But I mean, as a kid, I don't ever remember him there being music up there and nothing. He could just play it.
Play by ear, as they called it.
He could just play. But and so anyway, so this hymn comes from that book. And there's a new version of that book, which I really, really love, and I'm going to show you guys. It looks like this, and if you ever find a copy of this and you like to sing at all, buy this. It's really, really good, because the reason why it's so great is because, for one, it has the music in it. It has the notation, musical notation, the notes. And even if you can't read music, because I know when I was a kid I couldn't read music, but I knew that these little marks on here, if they were higher up on the ladder, that meant the note was higher, and if it was lower down on the ladder, it meant it was lower. And so I could figure out kind of. I learned to teach myself to kind of figure out the tunes of things just by doing that. By looking at that. I didn't know what they were, and I didn't know what the notes were. Now later on I learned, but but I knew, I was like, well, if they're higher up on that little ladder thing, then that means the note's higher, and I figured that out. So, and they have it in phonetics. And then over here they have a copy of the original from that little book, and then they have the translation, which I think is really, really cool. This is really, and I was talking to Miss Kathy Sierra about this, because I thought this was the one that Bo Paris Jagesa had worked on. And so I asked her, I said, is this the one that Bo did? And she said, no. She said, this is not the one. She said, this is the one that Miss Shirley Oswald Jagesa, she helped with this one. And of course, you probably knew Shirley from Snowbird. And of course, she passed a few years ago. But she's a really, really nice lady. And of course, those Snowbird folks are a lot easier for us to understand when they talk Cherokee. So.
That's true, because just the other day there were some people from different areas down there, and there was a gentleman from Snowbird, a couple of them that were from there. That was more. It was easier to really, understand. Speaking.
Tood. Right? That's the word for
tood.
Tood is the word for Snowbird. Right. So in the book. And this is why I'm sharing this with you guys, because this is the hymn is hymn 106, and it's titled "To Be Sung at Meals," and you'll figure that out when we talk about it a little bit. And the tune is "Take My Life and Let It Be," and the reason why. I wanted to share this with you. Now, there are 4 verses to it, and each lesson we're going to go through a different verse. But the reason why I want to share this with you is probably as you start learning Cherokee and people start knowing that you're learning Cherokee, they're going to ask you to do some crazy things sometimes. And one of them will probably be they're going to ask you to pray in your language. So I'm doing this for your benefit. I recommend that you learn this, you memorize it, and if you ever get asked to pray over a meal, you can use it. You can either speak it, or I say that you can just sing it, because again, I have friends and relatives from other tribes, and a lot of times when they're asked to pray, they'll sing instead, and it's the same thing. And as we go through here, and you see you're like, oh well, yeah, it's a prayer. So so you guys can use this. This is for your benefit. When you get asked to pray over a meal, you can use this, and this will help you out, because probably even at Cherokee 3, you're not at the place in your learning where you can just, do like Miss Peggy does and just off of the top of your head, just pray, So this, we're going to go through the first verse. Normally, I would also sing it to you, but I'm not going to today. Hopefully, before we get to the end of it, my voice will be in a place that I can sing it for you. I don't know. Is this a song that you ever were familiar with?
If I, as I'm reading this, no. And the tune that you're saying right here, if I heard the tune, I may, it might come to me, but I don't know this song.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
It wasn't one that, like once I went through and went through the tune and stuff, I was like, yep, never heard this before. So let's go ahead and let's work our way through it for a syllabary practice.
Okay.
So this is, of course, he, ga, ta, he, s, d. Okay? So it would be he, ga, ta, he, s, d. Now, I don't think in spoken Cherokee we would say it like that. The translation says no.
Hiktahesti, know it, or hiktahesti, like learn it. Is more.
That makes sense. Yeah.
Learn.
Yeah. Hik. So in spoken Cherokee we say hiktahesti. But of course in singing it's got to fit in the notes. So you would include the ga in there, I think. Yeah, you would. So hiktahesti, ni. Normally we would say ahani, or ahan. Ga skila. Goskila. Probably you guys know this word. This is a pretty common word. Or you might know the related word goskilon. Goskilon, goskila. Goskila is table, right? So know or learn, hear at the table. Ja, ga, we, you, he. Jagawi Yuhi means you're the king, right? So we know by this word, this Jagawi Yuhi, that we're talking directly to God, right?
Right.
So would you go ahead and read us that far?
Okay. Hiktahesti ani gaskila Jagawi Yuhi.
So without looking at the English, of course, I know you already have, but how would you kind of translate? Is that pretty close to how you would?
Hiktahesti ani. Know this place. Know this at the table. Gaskila Jagawiyuhi, the king. So far, it doesn't
really go anywhere.
Doesn't make. Because right now you're just saying hiktahesti, no, ani, this, gaskila, this table, jagawiyuhi, the king, your king.
So maybe they're asking the king to kind of look down and recognize this table that we're sitting at.
Right.
Know this table where we are, or kind of be familiar with it. Come to it. Maybe they're asking him to come down and
know this table. Know this table, O king.
Now that makes sense to me.
Yeah.
And you kind of ask him to come down and be with you, right? In a way. I mean, to recognize it, to acknowledge it,
Yes.
Okay.
Makes sense.
Yeah. So, you know, sometimes we got to think through it, you know.
That's what I say. Because if
Yeah.
if you, as you're reading these, in the hymnals here, this is old. This is old Cherokee. I mean, the way that it's written.
Absolutely.
So you kind of have to figure out what it is that they're saying. You know what the words mean, but
Yeah.
how do they work together?
Yes.
How does it, you know, for it to make sense?
Yeah, and even having, because I took this directly, this translation, you know, from the book, you know, but even reading it in English, I'm like, okay, well that doesn't really make sense to me in English, you know.
And see, and the translation where it says, "Know this place here," Hiktahesti Antni, that's just directly translated. Know this place here.
Yeah, they're just
Gashkila. Jagawiyuhi, and it's saying your table.
Yeah, but that's not really what Gaskila means.
No. Hiktahesti Antni Gashkila Jagawiyuhi.
See, to me, like when you're saying that, to me, they're asking Unetlana or Ugawiyu to acknowledge the table where you're sitting, your table.
Right.
To me.
And see, that's when you say it, you know, the translation of this, as they're taking it word for word, they're translating it word for word. And sometimes that makes sense, and sometimes it doesn't.
Yeah.
You know, and I'm not saying that this is wrong.
By
no means am I saying that. I'm just trying to, as I'm reading this, translate it where it makes sense to me.
Right. Well, and I think both things are important to learners. You need to know what individual words say, which is what they did here, and you also need to know in the greater context what it means.
Right.
Because what it says and what it means is not always the same thing.
True.
Yeah.
Because sometimes you can translate something and try to make it as close to what it is as it is, and you write like word for word what it is, but when you read it in English, it doesn't make sense.
Absolutely,
you know, it's not,
right.
you know what, it's word for word, but sometimes you can't just translate word for word and it makes sense.
Yeah, definitely. Well, you know, and of course, not to really get in a lot of you know, biblical whatever, but you know, it was the same thing with the Bible. You know, they were having to translate it from, you know, Hebrew and Greek and Latin and everything else and put it into another. And sometimes the translations, you know, we know now, they're like, well, that wasn't necessarily the best translation for that, for the way that they intended it when they wrote it.
And you know, anytime you translate something, there's always going to be something that's going to be lost.
Absolutely.
Or something that's not going to be put in there. And that's the sad thing about whether it's Cherokee or whatever language, that the things that are lost in there probably are something that was really and truly important parts of it.
Absolutely.
You know, when you translate it. So, you know, translating is hard. Really, truly, it's hard to translate things that to make it make sense. You know, and that's a difficult thing to do.
And that's I can't even. I think about, you know, those early translators, you know, where English wasn't common among our people at all. And here, you know, like Mr. Foreman and stuff, who helped Samuel Worcester to do a lot of, you know, I was like, man, you know, what an amazing mind he must have had to be able to, and especially because even back in the 1800s, the way they spoke English was kind of, we would think it was weird. I mean, you know, because it was a lot of these and thines and heretofores and, you know, I mean, you know, even today, I don't know how I would explain to somebody who didn't speak English what that means.
Right.
I mean,
that's
you know.
true. Yeah.
That
is true.
I don't know. So then it goes on and it says Ale. To me, this would be, I don't know, but this would be, it says ni ga na da guo. But down here it says everywhere, so would this be ni ka na da guo?
Ni ka da guo. Ni ka na da guo. Ni ka, let's see. Ni ka na da guo. Ale, ni ka na da guo.
We'll come back to it.
Okay.
And we'll skip through, and
Yeah.
maybe it'll make more sense. And then you're like, oh yeah, it should be this way.
Okay.
Ejala godi skai. Okay, ejala godi skai. That means you're going to be praised, right?
Right.
Ejala godi. You're going to be held sacred, or you're going to be made holy.
Yes. Ejala godi skai. They loved you. They're Ejala godi skai.
You'll be loved.
Yeah, you'll be loved.
Yeah.
That's what that means. Ejala godi skai.
Okay. Now, does that help you at all for this word? It's translated as everywhere, but to me, everywhere is nika.
Okay. And it's over here. Nika na da ko.
Yeah.
Na da ko. Nika na da ko. Be everywhere.
Nika na da ko. No, nika na da ko. To me, it's kind of making it sound like be everywhere. You know, nika na da ko, nika na da ko. Oh, like almost like there would be two separate words.
Right.
Nika na da ko.
Yeah, nika na da ko.
Like it's done everywhere, or
and then it kind of sounds like like open yourself up, or there's a sound in there. To me, that's what it sounds like. It's just like be everywhere. Ale nikanda ko kani. That means be clear.
Oh yeah.
Kani, nikan, to me that means be everywhere, or be opened.
In all places.
Yes,
and
yes. Nikan. To me that means be ever when you say that means make yourself open, make yourself clear.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah. And see that's the word that's in there. Like it's saying be everywhere. It's what I keep saying. You know, make yourself known.
Yeah.
Make yourself known. That's what it is. Okay. If you go back to and that for like it's saying, know this table, king.
O king.
O king, and like well, be here. Show yourself. Show yourself.
And you'll be loved.
Yeah, and you'll be loved.
Yeah.
To me, that's what it means. Is put yourself out. You're everywhere. You show yourself to us.
Yeah. Well, yeah, and so that makes sense to me, because they're kind of saying, you know, be here with us. Be if you acknowledge our table where we're sitting, O King, then in return you're going to be loved.
Right.
You know,
right.
If you,
right.
and then in all places you'll be loved.
Right.
Is that kind of
how
you?
I think that's kind of how it's interpreting to me. To me, that just means show yourself, or just be known.
Yeah.
Be known.
Be known.
And you will be praised.
Oh, yeah. So that makes sense. I mean, you know. So would you read the entire one for us?
Okay. Hiktahesti Ani Kaskilla Chagawiyuhi Ale Nika Nadago Ejalago Diyu Ejalago skai, ejalago skai.
Okay. So that's the first. That's this part right here. This first part, and every lesson for the next 4 lessons will take one more little part.
Okay.
And like I said, I really think that this could be beneficial to you as a second language learner, to either memorize the song if you're a singing kind of person, or if you're not, just memorize it as a prayer for when you get asked to, or even for your own personal table, for you to be able to use, especially when we get down into 2, 3, and 4. There's really some cool stuff in there.
Okay.
There's really some neat stuff that I think you guys will like. But you're going to have to come to the next lesson, so to get it. So this is getting you prepared, and to me this is very Cherokee.
Right.
The way, to me, this is a Cherokee person that, I mean, it's not just translating words into English. This is a Cherokee person, and the way a Cherokee person thinks, the way that he's putting these 4 things together. Even the fact that there are 4 of them, to me, is very Cherokee.
And that last line right there, there it is, and that means as you're praised, as you're loved, is what that means.
Yeah.
That you are being loved, is what that says.
Okay. Yeah. That's really cool.
Yeah.
I mean, this is, the more we're getting into this, the more I'm really liking this, because it almost kind of reminds me, almost like those medicine people, and those itiga ways, in the way that they structure those.
Right.
It kind of almost reminds me of that as well.
Yeah.
So.
And I'm sure it all goes together. It all goes together.
Yeah.
Whether it's hymns, whether it's the medicine, the prayers that the medicine people say, it all goes together.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so anyway, so here's the first one.
Okay.
So let's see. So we did this one in the last lesson. Would you go ahead and just read it real quickly?
Okay. Ujesti kaya soli adaleniska kanitata iganahita jokatu ale joskohi kalkogi isi tatisti.
Okay, and of course that's talking about the length of the possum, from the nose to the beginning of the tail.
Okay.
And then, could you do this one for us?
Okay. Kanitata ayela ale kanahisa kanel.
Soul.
Soneli. So I'm trying to put ka in there. Soneli ale soneladu isitatisti.
Excellent. Okay. So talking about his neck and tail. And then and then would you read this one for us?
Okay. Do one gutla ale Judah le. Well, we said this was various, like different things. Judah land, no, da gohusti. Yi ka quen sa kanita ta. Yi ka quen sa kanita ta. Okay, let me do that again.
Okay.
Do one gutla ale. Judah land no Judah land da go husti you go quen no kanita.
Okay. And would you say yika quen no or would you say yika quen none?
You got Queen none, no. You got Queen none. Either one. If you're you got Queen none, no. That kind of tells you that he will wrap it around. You got Queen. You got Queen. That I think you have to have the no in there to actually say what it's going to do.
Okay. And the same Judalena do.
Judalena.
Now, is that different than the word like Judalente or Judalenad?
Yeah, it means something different. Judalena. Okay, Judalena. Yeah, it's two different. This right here, you're saying different or various things.
Various.
Yeah, yeah, and the other one is kind of like the beginning of it. Isn't that what you're saying, Judalent?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's the beginning. Yeah,
it's where it starts.
Right, where it starts.
Yeah. I think we had that word, Judalente. I think when we did the story about the crawdad and the fox having the race.
Yeah, the beginning of the race.
The beginning of the race, I think. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think we talked about that. Okay? All right. Oh, there's a cute one. Okay. So this says, Ganage u skola junal suita. Junal suit. Ale usti danilil. Go. Okay. Now I know where we're at. Ganage u skol, gray, right? Junal su, they are gray. They're colored gray. They're colored gray. Ale and usti, little. Danililko. And that I know it's talking about their ears. What does it literally mean?
Danililko. Their ears.
They have ears, or their ears?
Yeah, their ears.
Their ears. Danililko.
Yeah.
Because probably before we'd learned the word digatlin. Now that's just his ears, right?
Digatlin. Yeah. If you're talking about something's ears, yes.
Okay. But
Degalisk, you're saying their ears.
Their ears, yeah.
Because
we're talking about all possums,
right.
not just one specific possum.
Right, exactly.
All possums everywhere.
Yeah.
Danililko.
Danililko, yeah.
Would you read this sentence for us?
Okay. Ganage uskola junalisu with. Junalisu with is what I would say. Junalisu with ale usti danililko.
Okay. All right. Yep. Little ears and gray colored.
Right.
Then this says, he skohi ika danin do bon. Okay. Got you there. Ale ganege dinik tole. Okay. Gotcha. Okay. He 50.
50.
Right?
Okay.
Ika, that's just of them, like 50 of them.
Yes. The ika,
there's a measure word.
Yes.
Danin do go. Their teeth, right?
Danin do go. Yeah.
Danin do go. Ale and ganage black. Dinik tole. Eyes. Right?
Eyes.
Their eyes. Right?
Yeah, their eyes. Yeah, that black eyes. Okay. That danin to go. Okay, danin to. And see that go at the end, danin to. That's like their teeth. But here you're trying to say all possums. There's 50 teeth for all possums.
Yeah, all possums have
50 teeth. Okay, yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
That's the difference between the go and the g at the end. Okay.
Okay, and would you read this one for us?
Okay. Hikskohi ika danin toko ale ganage junik toli.
Oh, would you say junito instead dinito?
Oh, okay. Okay. Unique toy. Okay, unique toy. Okay, are we talking about all? We're talking about
All
all
possums
possums everywhere.
have black eyes.
We're not actually looking at a possum.
No.
Okay, we're just saying. Okay, they would be unique toy.
Unique
There,
toll.
yeah, yeah.
Okay, so
If we're
unique toll is like if there's
if we were looking at a possum right here, we'd say unique toy right here. Their eyes. But there's more than one possum. We have to
Yeah.
have 2 or 3 possums here when we're talking about their eyes.
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So like if there's like a little family of possums over there
Yeah.
rummaging in our trash can.
Yeah. Or you could say unique toy. Okay. I don't know why I said Jew.
But it still makes sense.
Yeah, it makes sense.
Still makes complete sense.
Yeah.
You said it, and if
maybe
you said
it's
it
just
to a
because I
speaker,
said, yeah.
that I mean, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Unique toy.
And I've noticed that, at least my observation, is that difference between Jew and D is not a hard and fast difference.
Right.
Like some speakers kind of use them interchangeably, and some kind of tend towards one towards the other.
And I'm the kind that just uses them interchangeably.
Whatever comes in, whatever comes in.
Whatever comes out, that's what it is. But I think either one of them works.
Yeah. And it's completely understandable to any speaker.
Okay. Yes.
I think.
Yes. Unique toll, unique toll. Yeah.
Kind of, let's go back here. No, this is Junal Suwit.
Yeah.
But I've heard Deal Suwit.
Yeah. Jul Suwit.
Jul Suwit.
Yeah.
Jul Suwit and Deal Suwit.
Yeah.
I've heard both.
Yeah.
But they both mean colors,
yes,
right?
colors, yes, exactly.
So there are different ways to make plural.
It just depends on, like, I can remember when we talked about colors in class, I would say Junal Suwit.
Yeah.
If it was like a bunch of animals, black dogs or colored, I would say use a different one. Ul Suwit, Jul Suwit, Junal Suwit, Jul Suwit. It means the same thing.
Yeah.
It just depends on how you. I guess what I feel like that day, I guess, is because the kids understood either one of them.
Absolutely. Yeah.
The more you use it, interchangeably, I think people will pick up on.
And the more
what
they
it
just
means.
kind of roll with it.
Right.
Absolutely. Okay, 50 teeth and black eyes. Good. Okay, and then it says, c'est quoi des marsupials dans l'océan?
Okay.
Anid gano dai danin dohon, right? Danin dohon. They carry him around.
Danin dohon. Is that what you're trying to say?
Yeah.
Danin dohon. Yeah.
Should be another word.
Yeah. Danin
dohon.
Yeah. Danin no dohon. Okay.
Let's
carry
see.
their young? Danin dohon.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, c'est quoi ujets marsupials dans l'océan? They're called.
Yeah.
Or that's what they say about them, right?
Okay.
Marsupials.
Yeah.
Of course, we don't have a
word for marsupials.
word.
Okay.
So,
What does that mean, marsupials?
I don't know. I mean, I know marsupials are any animal that carries their babies in a pouch.
Okay. All right.
Anid gano dai. That's a pouch, right? Danin donhon. Danin ni donhon.
Yes. Danin ni donhon. Okay.
Yeah. That makes more sense. Danin ni donhon. So, would you read this one for us?
Okay. C'est quoi des marsupials dans l'océan? Anita gano dai. Right? Gano dai. Danin ni donhon.
Okay, and this E at the end kind of tells us that it's like in a pouch, right? It's talking about the
Gano dai. Inside it's in it. Yeah.
And so, and a lot of times, that E is left off, but in this case, it really kind of needs to be there,
right?
Because we're talking about the young are in it.
Yes, exactly. Gano dai. Yes.
And so, and this word cano, dun, that's a pouch, right? But that's not like, what it literally does it mean? I mean, it feels like it's in my brain somewhere, but because that's not the word we use for like a sack.
A bag.
Yeah.
A sack can, well, let's see, a bag. Gonta. Something is gonta, it's in a bag.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's kind of like gonta.
Oh, yeah.
So it's kind of, I think it's gonta. You could say gonta, the pouch.
Oh, yeah.
Gonta, don't need to, they carry them in a bag. Really, you think about it. And I think to me that would be what make more sense. Gonta than saying gonta. Gonta. Yeah, and that's in a bag.
In a bag.
Yeah.
Now, what is the word for like a? Ooh, I almost had it.
A pocket.
Yeah.
Udlawata.
I was going to say udlawat.
Yeah, udlawata. If it's somebody's udlawata, udlawata is a pocket. Yeah.
And I wonder if in this case that would actually be closer.
Udlawata. You could say udlawata. Udlawata. You could say that, I guess.
Because, I mean, I guess it's just, either way, probably a speaker would get the idea that they're carrying
in some kind of a bag or a pouch or a pocket of some sort. Yeah.
Yeah, because well, of course, not that I've seen a lot of possums in my life, but I've never really looked for a pouch, so I don't really get that close to them. Yeah. But
well, we'd be like a kangaroo, wouldn't
we? Yeah, but I think whenever I think of a kangaroo, I think of them as having like a little pocket. It looks like a pocket.
So I wonder if a possum has a pocket.
The same, yeah.
Or is it just an opening?
Right.
You know what I'm
saying?
I
don't know.
It has to be a pretty good size opening if it has that many
25 babies.
Yeah. But yeah, gone.
Gone.
Yeah.
Or udlawat.
Yes, udlawat.
Either way.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
Okay.
As long as it's a place where they keep the babies. Yeah.
What's that word? Unesalt. What?
A nasal. A purse.
That's
a nasal. Yeah, that's a purse. Yeah.
I don't think you could use that
No, I
word
don't think
there.
so.
It carries around in a purse.
Puts it over his shoulder and carries him around. No, it has to be more udlawata or gone. Yeah, gone. Yeah.
Makes an interesting picture.
Yeah.
All right. Oh, here we go.
Speaking of.
Yeah, speaking of. Okay, so June Chloe, Koala Yon. Okay, yeah, right there. Ale, Udlawat, Ujetsti. Okay, so that's what they call a kangaroo, evidently.
Udlawat,
They call it a pocket.
Okay. Well, that's a possum.
Yeah.
So it's a possum with the pocket.
Possum with the pocket.
Okay, but...
Well, I think in this case...
what does it say?
Okay. June Chloe. Same. Goala Yon. Okay, koala bear. Ale Udlawata. And a pocket. Ujetsti. So I think they're saying that possums are the same as a koala or a kangaroo.
Okay, so which one of those words is a kangaroo?
I think they just call it udlawata.
Okay, udlawata. Udlawata. That's what it is. Yeah, something that has a pocket.
So because udlawata is a pocket, udlawata.
Yeah,
it has a pocket.
Something that has a pocket. Yeah,
clever.
That's what it is.
Those folks are clever. All right, so we are out of time today, but I'm really glad that you could join us today, and thank you, Miss Peggy, for being here. As always, I always learn a lot, so what don't?